Hi, and welcome to a special edition of the Andy Zork Show. I've got John, Elliot, and Sarah here with me. We just saw Star Wars. Yeah!
The Force Awakens!
And so I've got some questions for you guys.
Okay.
Now, John, when we saw Episode 1 in 1999, we were really excited coming out of the movie. We had a lot of anticipation. We saw that midnight first showing, first one's in line. But the next day we had a little bit of a hangover. I was really excited that night, and then the next day I started to feel Jar Jar a little annoying, pod race, most exciting part, wrong part of the movie. Are we going to have a hangover after this movie?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think we're going to have a hangover, Andy. I think that this movie is the movie we hoped Episode 1 could have been.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll be honest with you. I came out. I had high expectations. I saw Adam Goldberg's tweet that it's number 2, right behind Empire. I gotta say, at worst, this approaches Empire again. Might just be on that high of seeing Star Wars. It beat my expectations. Those are high expectations, and it beat them.
I agree. After the prequels, I was a bit. I dampened my enthusiasm here, and it did exceed my expectations. I mean, the one criticism I saw, just scanning headlines, again, because I was spoiler-free, was that this movie was derivative. But again, as I told you before, this was Episode 7. If you're expecting a net new movie, you shouldn't see a sequel.
Alright, so this is the first Star Wars movie out of George Lucas's hands. J.J. Abrams brings with him that signature style of shaky cam and lens flare. Did it feel out of place given the style? George Lucas set a style in Episode 4, A New Hope, and it's pretty much carried through with very little deviation. How did J.J. do as a director?
I'd say pretty good.
I would have to agree as well. He had his own style, but, the one thing that I love about his style, having seen some of his other movies, in particular the Star Treks, is his adherence to practical effects everywhere possible. And I think especially when you're dealing with a situation that's in, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away with all these futuristic, spacecrafts and things, practical effects give realism to the environment that overdoing special effects everywhere lose.
I agree. Abrams likes to focus on the story but leaves some specifics to the imagination. In some of the other movies, like The Red Matter in Star Trek, The Rabbit's Foot in Mission Impossible, The Monster's Origin in Cloverfield. Without spoilers, did this movie leave you with too many questions, not enough questions?
What do you guys think?
I'd say a medium about questions. Like, there are a lot of questions about the movie, but not as many about, the layout.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Sarah?
I don't know.
I think it left us with just the appropriate amount.
Yeah.
And we will get into some of those questions in our other video that's going to be completely full of spoilers. So go see the movie and then watch that. Or if you just want to be a jerk and spoil it for everybody else, watch the other video. There'll be a link in the description of this video. Sarah, how did you feel that the old characters interacted with the new characters?
I don't know, they kind of bonded, through this weird way.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, at that point, they had no choice. After, Kylo Ren and people have started trying to take over, I thought, yeah, they have to help each other out, because if they have a little bit of background to who the people are, to Han Solo and people, then I think they're gonna trust him.
Right. I thought it was interesting that these, the legend, our historical characters are these bigger than life legends that have basically faded away. And then, they're kind of thrust back into the scene with the arrival of our new characters, and maybe it reawakens something within themselves that they thought was lost as well.
Sarah, who's your favorite new hero?
I think Red.
That's a gimme question.
I don't really know if I have one because, like, a lot of people are bonded with the Force. Like, Kylo Ren, he was bonded. But, yeah. So, I don't know. It's a hard question.
The correct answer is Poe Dameron. What do you think of the new villains? Sarah?
I don't know.
I think, Kylo Ren, he was always looking
At
up...
the camera.
Kylo Ren, he was always looking up to Darth Vader. Like, he was his apprentice. So,
I'd like to answer that question in the spoiler.
All right. Yeah, because
Yeah,
there was a villain that we didn't mention, and we'll get into him. We already have some theories about him in our spoiler cast.
we will.
All right, the three prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Not a whole lot of humor in those movies.
No.
There was some humor in this. Was it well balanced? Was it out of place? Was it a little too campy?
I think you could say there was portions that were too campy,
I
but not so much that it distracted me. Just you noticed them, but it didn't distract. I don't think.
I'd say, like, it had the perfect amount of humor. Like you got a little bit, and then it didn't sidetrack you because it was, like, too funny or anything. So they made it, like, just right.
So kind of like how, Iron Man and Captain America get into little quips in the Avengers movies.
I think that would be
Yeah.
a fair comparison, Andy.
Yeah. I'd say fair comparison.
Yeah, I think, comparing in that vein Han Solo to Tony Stark is well placed.
Yeah.
Which is an odd comparison because Han Solo, that's 35 years of history right there.
Right.
Who now we're comparing him to a more iconic current hero, and I think they did actually play up Han's humor just a little bit to sort of appeal to what moviegoers are expecting these days.
Right.
All right, let's do a little numbers game. On a scale of 1 to 10, Sarah, where do you put this movie?
I think like a 9.5 or a 10.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I'd say, I'm going for the 9 because we haven't seen the next one yet. But if it was so far, then I'd say a 10.
And I'd probably go with 9. Again, I love the movie, but there is a bit of repetitive material there, but you obviously live with it because you love it. But it is a very good movie.
I'm going to deduct a couple of points. I thought that the humor did get a little campy. And there was a fight scene where we really weren't sure what was going on about, part of the time. I'll give it a solid 8. I'll give it an 8 and change. I can't just quite go all the way to 9 yet, so that's the...
Call me tomorrow. It'll be 9. By tomorrow, when you rewatch it, it'll be 9, I'm sure.
It'll be 9, all right. Well, I'll pick up a couple of things, maybe. But overall, yeah. And, all right, where would you place this among the 6 other movies?
I'm not really sure because there's some unknown parts where he got a little bit sidetracked. But other than that, I'd go for I'd say tied with 3.
Episode 3?
Yeah.
All right.
Because they have the same kind of dual part that you will see at the end. But yeah, if it was without number 3, then I really wouldn't know where to place it. Like if they didn't make 3.
What about you, Sarah?
I think it's one of the best out of the 7 that there are.
Personally, you know, I have an affinity for the first movie of that, or the 4th movie, the first one that came out.
A New Hope, yes.
A New Hope. You know, it is the one that stands alone. It was completely original and groundbreaking at the time. I think that you can throw A New Hope, Empire, and this one in a hat and argue it till the cows come home. For me, Return of the Jedi has always been a step below that, and enough said.
Okay. I will agree with you. The Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie. Lawrence Kasdan, the dialogue that he wrote was simply amazing. It was pithy. It was back and forth. It wasn't overly campy. I think we got a little bit of Abrams kind of punched up the humor a little bit, and can't take anything away with it, from Abrams. Because he is hands down a better director than George Lucas. He is a better writer than George Lucas, and they got the guy that made the best Star Wars script to come back for this.
As well as the other ones. I think Kasdan's involved going forward as well.
I do believe so.
And with the spin-offs too, I think.
Okay,
I think.
All right, that's great.
Because I think, in particular, the Han Solo backstory, which was Kasdan's favorite character.
Okay. The one thing that makes Abrams stand out as a director for me is the prequels were all about dialogue. There's Jedis walking and talking through long hallways with glorious backdrops. And that's not great filmmaking. Without a spoiler, in the last 5 minutes of this movie, with no dialogue, Abrams brought more emotion than to the screen than Lucas did in 3 prequels.
One thing I think would be interesting, in you know, as I rewatch the movie, I would really love to put a stopwatch to the last 20 minutes of the movie, because I have this sense that, you know, as you know, things are counting down, you know, they say there's a deadline, and the audience is experiencing the same 20 minutes as the characters.
I did notice that. I did notice that, you know, all the time we see things like all the Star Trek Next Generation movies ended with Data and Picard running against a countdown timer because the Enterprise is going to blow up.
Right.
It's the only solution to everything. And they say, oh, there's 20 minutes. Oh, there's 10 minutes. Or they say there's 3 minutes, there's 2 minutes, but it takes 7 minutes to do that whole sequence. I think they did time that up almost perfectly.
I think they did intentionally.
All right, so final thoughts.
Can't wait to see it again.
Well, yeah. But I'm looking forward to the spoiler because it's easier to spoil things than keep them.
All right, look for Elliot's spoilers in the next video. Sarah, anything you want to add?
No.
It was a good movie.
It was a very good movie.
2 thumbs up.
Like I said, I had high expectations. It met, if didn't exceed. So go see Star Wars Force Awakens in theaters now. We're not getting paid to say that. We just really, really like the movie.
Yes, we did.
And if you're lucky and local, you could see us there tomorrow.
Yep.
And if you're in another town about 2 hours away, you might see me there right after Christmas. So, good night. Hope it was as good for you as it was for me.